Hello YouTube! Another update for In a Different World with the Naruto System. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 does separate into two parts. I think we're just going to do the first one, we'll see. Actual combat. Thus, Rentian Yu, just like this, began to make great effort on practicing ninjutsu. His ninjutsu system contained all the ninjutsu that appeared in the Naruto world, including even forbidden and secret arts. Although his current strength was not that strong, nevertheless, he still had practiced ninjutsu a lot. At the present, his main focus was to practice 5-element style ninjutsu and taijutsu to increase his strength. As for illusion, he decided to learn it after his Sharingan was upgraded to the 3-Tuma level. Sharingan offered high additional bonus with regarding to illusions, and 3-Tuma level gave the ability to see through most of the illusions too, but 1-Tuma level Sharingan merely boosted a bit of strength of the user, nothing more. And after awakening Mangekyou Sharingan, at that time, even time and space itself can be controlled. With Mangekyou Sharingan, he only needed to activate his Mangekyou Sharingan. Then the other people would unknowingly fall into his Mangekyou Sharingan illusions, especially Tsukumi of Mangekyou Sharingan. This illusion would trap his opponents inside the world he controlled. There, the opponents were tortured, and the sensation of pain were not any different from the pain in the real world. And this time, inside Tsukumi world was also different. 3 days of time were less than 1 second in the real world. However, this ability took a heavy toll in the eyes and leads them to become blind if used frequently. At that time, when he saw this ability, he had doubted that, wasn't this ability invincible? But he finally realized that this ability could be resisted by the person having Mangekyou Sharingan or the Rinnegan. Except those individuals, others would lose instantly. At that time, when Sasuke was trying to take revenge against Itachi, if Itachi was not seriously ill and beyond cure, and furthermore didn't wanted to die from Sasuke's hand, instead wanted to kill Sasuke, then Sasuke would have already died from his hands. Once more, at that time, Sasuke was still talking big by saying his eyes could already see through all illusions. When the Mangekyou Sharingan became the internal Mangekyou Sharingan, that anomalous change would occur in his eyes. This change removed the curse of becoming blind and also vastly increased the power of the eyes. Even nine-tailed tailed beasts, who were one of the supreme tailed beasts, could be easily tamed using this eye. So he didn't want to waste his time learning low-level illusions if it was not too late to wait until a Sharingan truly grew up to learn illusion techniques. After 2 months within the magical beast forest, an agile figure was fighting against a great wolf magical beast. If you look carefully at this figure of a young man, you could see his angular face and could also faintly see that there was also a hint of childishness. So could be estimated that this youth was not that old in age, and the color of his eyes of this youth was blood red in color, and within the pupil of his eyes each held 2 tuma. The giant wolf he was fighting was a Class 4 magical beast. Wind Wolf King, Class 4, high-level, wind-attributed magical beast. Can use some elementary wind spells, fast as lightning, and an innate magic Wind Blade Dance. It was one of the toughest magical beasts among the 4 magical beasts. Class 4 magical beasts. This youth was Rentian Yu. These days he had already started to learn some simple jutsu to protect his life, but after starting to practice several jutsu, he had found out that his chakra control was way too low. Every time he used a jutsu, he would use a large amount of chakra. This not only wasted learning time, but also wasted great amount of chakra with each use. After realizing this problem, he decisively stopped training ninjutsu and began to train his chakra control. Control, that's right, chakra control. The movement of chakra within the body by using hand seals according to the required order to release that jutsu was a type of chakra control. So if you wanted to become a qualified ninja, then only having chakra was not enough. Chakra control was also equally important. And actually, the most appropriate time to practice chakra control was at the moment when they are a junior ninja, genin, because at this time, the chakra amount would not be too high nor too low. If you waited until you became a chunin or a jonin, then the amount of chakra would be too high and the difficulty level in controlling this amount of chakra would be several times higher in comparison. In the Naruto world, the method to train chakra controlling was to climb up a tree without using hands, and the other was to walk on the surface of water. Rentian Yu started with a basic method to practice chakra control climbing up a tree without hands. After thinking the training method and objective, he started to take action and arrived in front of a huge tree. Honestly speaking, this other world was quite convenient. As compared to the trees of Earth, all the trees were exceedingly huge and sturdy here. Let's try. He looked at the tree, removed all the distracting thoughts, and started to focus his chakra on his foot, and slowly set his foot on the tree which was in front of him. He broke the most basic law of gravitational force and started to walk on the surface of that huge tree. Concentrate your mind. Control the amount of chakra, not too much, not too less. He was repeatedly warning to himself within his heart, while carefully walking upward the tree. But the increasing nervousness caused him to make a mistake. After he had taken several steps, he couldn't control his chakra perfectly, and the amount of chakra he was supplying to his foot became a little bit less, causing him to fall straight to the ground. Dong! He fell heavily on the ground, but fortunately after a period of cultivation, now his body was much stronger than before. Otherwise, he would have become half dead by this fall. But even so, he saw multiple stars as well, as it was extremely painful. He stood up and rubbed the painful part of his body due to the fall. After that, he strengthened his vision and continued to climb up once again. If you cannot suffer even a little bit of pain, then how can one improve one's strength and find a way back home? Just like this, he fell down again and again, but he got up and continued to climb the tree again and again. After half a day, the waves of arrogant laughter came from the top of the tree. Ha! I, your father, finally mastered climbing the trees! I'm falling to death! Extreme joy turned to sorrow as he again fell off from the tree straight to the ground. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Let's move on to the second chapter of Chapter 6, Actual Combat. After learning how to climb the tree, next was practicing walking on the surface of the water. Although he had already had enough bitter taste of suffering for the day, but he still started to practice walking on the surface of the water. Although he had already learned how to climb the trees, when he walked on the surface of the water for the first time, he could walk only a few steps, and after that he immediately sunk into the water. And on the surface of the water, bubbles started to form. Fortunately, on Earth, he was from Hangzhou, where he had run to the lake at any time to take baths many times. Thus, he had acquired a swimming skill. But even so, when he sank in the water, he still drank a few gulps of water, and after he came out of the water, he was dripping wet, just like a drowning grand duck chicken. After falling into the water for more than a dozen times, he started to discover the secrets. Walking on the surface of the water was not like climbing on the tree, where you only need to control the amount of chakra in a straight line. To walk on the surface of water, he had to change the chakra to the sole of his feet, along with the change in wave of the water, or he would drown. After discovering this secret, he began practicing walking on the surface of the water again. Merely after less than a half a day, he could already walk on the surface of the water like he was walking on the earth. After learning both climbing up a tree and walking on the surface of the water, he was both mentally and physically exhausted. Not only was he injured, but he was completely wet too, and this made him really embarrassed. After a big meal, without even practicing making hand seals, he lied down inside the hole he had created on the tree and slept soundly. After learning how to climb up the tree and walking on the surface of the water, compared to before, his chakra control was quite good while practicing ninjutsu. Just like this, his strength rapidly improved. Along with the increase in his strength, he could kill higher level magical beasts and was able to accumulate 1,000 system points, which was enough to upgrade his Sharingan to the Tutuma level. This Tutuma level Sharingan not only increased his first ability, but also gave him an additional copy function. This ability could copy any ninjutsu and taijutsu which he had seen with his own eyes, with the exception of Bloodline Limit Ninjutsu and Secret Art. Again, after 2 months, his chakra level was already nearing Chunin level, and similarly, his ninjutsu and taijutsu were also at the level of a Chunin. So he went inside the magical beast forest to look for a suitable magical beast to fight against, and earn combat experience, as well as to know the limit of his strength too. And while doing so, he could also learn system points. After he exchanged 1,000 system points for the 2-Tuma Sharingan, he found out that it required 3,000 system points to upgrade to the 3-Tuma Sharingan. But he still didn't know how much system points were required to awaken the Mangekyou Sharingan, so in order to upgrade his Sharingan up to the Mangekyou Sharingan, he had no other choice but to work hard and to accumulate as many system points as possible. His first target to fight was this Windwolf King. After having seen through the speed of this Windwolf King with his Sharingan, he no longer feared this wolf. He only needed to be careful of its magical attack, and that would be enough. Fire style, flame bullet! He formed the required hand seals and spat out a huge fireball which advanced towards the Windwolf King. The Wind Wolf King looked at that fireball with disdain and released a huge hurricane from its mouth, which advanced towards the incoming fireball. After blowing away the fireball, this hurricane also dispersed. Huh. Seeing his fireball was blown away, he was not at least bit discouraged. Taking advantage of the time when the Wind Wolf was releasing magic, in a flash he arrived at the side of the Wind Wolf. Leaf Whirlwind! He quickly lowered his body and swept the legs of the Wind Wolf King with his right leg. Suddenly, the Wind Wolf King was knocked to the ground by the kick. Leaf Great Whirlwind! He followed his first kick with another kick towards his head, which lifted up in the air. Boom! Because of Ren Tianyu's sudden kick, the Wind Wolf King flew into the air, hit a big tree, and fell as its mouth howled a sad call. The Wind Wolf King stood up unsteadily and looked for Ren Tianyu to take revenge, but couldn't find a trace of him. At that time, suddenly it heard a voice of Ren Tianyu in its ear. Looking for me? Suddenly his figure appeared in front of the Wind Wolf King, and it released a completely terrified howl. Shortly afterward, both of his hands landed on the ground, and his right leg directly kicked the lower jaw of the Wind Wolf King and sending it flying towards the sky. Dancing Leaf Shadow! After he kicked it in the air, instantly he also jumped and appeared behind the Wind Wolf King. Then in the air, while making a big arc, he heavily kicked the Wind Wolf King on its belly. Lion's Barrage! As he spoke, the Wind Wolf King hit the ground heavily, causing huge smoke and dust to rise. After that, he steadily landed on the ground, but didn't step forward because he didn't believe that was this easy to defeat the Wind Wolf King. After all, it was a Class 4 magical beast. Compared to the same ranked human swordsman, it was quite difficult to deal with. Sure enough, before long, the wolf's shrill ululation responded from the mist of the smoke and dust, and a huge fluctuation of wind magic could be sensed. Although the smoke and dust was blown away, and Ren Tianyu clearly saw what was going on, he caught the sight of the Wind Wolf King's half-squatting body and condensed in front of its mouth a very powerful fluctuation of wind attribute magic. Right now, its eyes were filled with resentment. Haha, this is it. I cultivated hard for 3 minutes, and you were the one I've selected to carefully test my strength on. Don't let me down. Even after seeing the Wind Wolf King's action, he was not afraid and worried about anything. His pair of Sharingan eyes sparked with his powerful fighting spirit. After cultivating for 3 months, now he was only thinking of having a good fight. Wind Blade Dance! Only the sight of a huge tornado advancing toward him could be seen. Inside this tornado, there were many tiny wood blades flying around. After casting this magic, the Wind Wolf King suddenly became a little fatigued. Is this the Wind Blade defense magic? Is it similar to the jutsu of the Sand Ninja Tamari? But looking at the magic attack, he remembered a similar jutsu, but this was not the time for contemplation, so he quickly made the series of hand signs. Earth Style, Multi-Mud Wall! After completing the series of hand signs, suddenly 3 huge earth walls appeared in front of him. He was worried that a single wall wouldn't be able to withstand the attack, so he summoned multiple. Because of his limited strength, he could only produce 3 earthen walls. Hung, hung! With loud explosion, the magic of the Wind Wolf hit the earth walls created by Ren Tianyu. The first wall was instantly destroyed, followed by the second, but the magic dissipated before the wind tornado hit the third wall. After that moment, the Wind Wolf King was stunned. It didn't expect that after using its infinite magic, the enemy before it would still be alive. In a flash, it tried to retreat, but it was already too late. Sand Shower! He raised his right hand towards the sky and to the sky, and all of a sudden, a large amount of sand appeared above the Wind Wolf King. Now I'll send you to the death. Sand Coffin! His eyes flashed with coldness, and along with his right hand movement, suddenly innumerable sands tightly enclosed the Wind Wolf King's down to its paws. It suddenly released a frightened howl and started to struggle, but found itself surrounded by the sand and unable to move. Goodbye. Sand Burial! Immediately, he tightly clutched his hand. This caused the sand surrounding the Wind Wolf King to tightly shrink at once. Simultaneously, the wolf released a sad, shrill howl. This attack was enough to make mincemeat out of it, and blood started to drip from the sand. And that's all, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe, and more importantly, have fun reading and listening to these stories. If you'd like any of your favorite web novels and fan fiction turned into an audiobook, just let us know in the comment section below. See you guys next time, and thanks for listening.